welcome to the workshop at Patonga Creek. As you can see, it's beautiful and we're very lucky with a beautiful day. I'm going to do lots of different things today. Try not to shock you too much. I'm going to use different materials that we've used before, and I'm also going to work on a big sheet of paper, which I've got my trusty helper here. So what we're going to do first is we're going to unroll a sheet of paper and put it out, and it's very organic. The thing about working on plein air is that you can create magic in the open and leave it to the elements, and it's a lucky duck. So this is a large roll of paper. This is quite cheap. It's $125 if you call that cheap, but it's okay. It's about 110 GSM, and if I had a lot of money, I would get the very thicker one, but it's $350 a roll. That's why I've got David here, so that he gets a big hint that that's what I'd like for my birthday. A roll of really lovely, fabulous paper. Okay, so I've got the trusty scissors, and if you get the rocks, David, we're going to set it up here. And we're just setting it up, so you put it on one in each corner. One on that corner. And if you want to get the other ones, isn't that fabulous? So exciting. Probably don't need to cut it. Okay, just put it there and there. Thank you. Okay, now I'm going to put my apron on. Okay. So we've got the trusty Bones here. Bones, got a stick? You going to get me a stick? I've got a nice stick for you. Where's the stick, Dave? One job. That's it. No, the perfect stick I had.
Isn't it that?
Well, he's wrecked it. Okay, he's broken the stick, so we're going to go for a smaller stick. Okay, let's have a look at what we've got here. What we've got is, you know when I say charcoal? This is a very sexy, fabulous charcoal. As you can see, I don't use it much, but great expectations. So the thing is, with the big extra large sheets of slabs of graphite and charcoal, you would be doing large work, and you don't always do large work. You don't have a perfect day like this all the time, and you don't have all the codes. So what I'm going to do is, because we don't want to be totally tight, I'm going to just attach to the wrong stick.
Let's go find another stick.
Well, I wanted a longer one, so I wasn't
I don't think there's a stick shortage.
No, I know, but there was a perfect stick.
Yeah, he broke it in two.
Oh, well, there we are. It's not that perfect. Anyway, that'll do. It'll give the idea. So what I'm going to do is, on a much better stick, but this will do, is I'm going to attach the charcoal to the stick. Now this means, David had one job. Okay. So what happens is, when you, as we know, the sticks means that you don't actually have a lot of control, and control is boring. A straight line is a boring line. So with my wrong stick and my charcoal, this is a brown charcoal. I've got brown and white. I can't imagine using the other colours. Nice grey. So what I'm going to do, let's talk on plein air here. Oh shit, fell out. I bet John Olsen doesn't have this problem, because he does a lot of this, and also I saw this being done with Arthur Boyd, and I thought, oh, that's so fantastic. That's bloody useless. I don't know how I'm going to get it to stick harder.
Is that not sticky enough? That
It is, it's just that it's...
Is that better?
No.
you could have all the colours on that stick.
Oh yeah, I could have all the colours. That would be hilarious. Well, actually, a lot of artists, you can actually, you know how we do one stick? If you put a bunch of sticks together and tie them and put them in the inkwell, that gives an amazing line. We'll do that today as well. Good thinking, Jade.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, now hopefully this doesn't fall out of its knob.
That's it. The end. Nice knob.
Okay, and if I don't swish it around too much. But this will give you an idea. With the wrong size, because now I have to walk on the paper, what we're looking at here is when you're doing on plein air, you're not trying to get, well, I'm not trying to get the whole picture, and there's that house there and that boat and that little boat there and that plant there and that tree. We're trying to get the feeling and a reason to put a mark on the paper. So the more interesting the mark, the more interesting the painting. And the pictures I showed you during the week of where we were, it was full tide and they had the most amazing reflections. But see, even at the end of the jetty here, there's a reflection. So what you're looking for on plein air is a reason to put a mark. And we've got the weeds of growth, or whatever they're probably called, mangroves or something.
People are just saying that the feed is stuttering, but I think it's just because of the internet. So
I don't think there's anything we can do about that.
nah, but I think just keep going and we'll
Keep
see
going.
how we go.
See how we go. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get the feeling of where I am. And I'm on the bank here, and I'm going to see, it's just brilliant already. So the bank goes around here.
Bones is about to steal your stick.
Better not take my stick, it's got very flash charcoal on it. And what you're doing is you're creating, see, if you look down here, there's these organic
Aloe vera.
what are they called?
Aloe vera.
Aloe vera. Oh, so it's got everything here at Patonga. And as we go along, we've got this outcrop here, and the bank goes down and creates this lovely effect here.
Say hi to Karen.
Hi, Karen. Which Karen is that?
Cooper.
Oh, Karen Cooper. Hello, Karen. And so what we're going to do is just get this whole field that goes along like this. Okay? A reason to put the marks, a reason to put line. I'm not going to put the houses in over there, but I might put these mangroves. The mangroves come in from over here. My knob hasn't fallen off yet. And this lovely jetty made from my stones, made from my house, which has been repurposed into a beautiful jetty. We'll put that in there too. And then what you can do is, as you move your eye around doing on plein air, you can pick and choose what you'd like to put in. So with this, I could have the branches of the tree coming up, and it actually goes right outside the picture. So you're getting the idea that it doesn't have to be perfect. You're just looking at reasons to put marks and lines.
I think it needs a boat.
I'm not going to put a boat yet. Oh, wait. So the next thing, just put the jetty in. Now, and that's what we're going to do today, talking about how to do the straight line, even though the jetty is actually quite crooked and it actually goes up and down. So let's, a lot of this is artistic license.
Yeah, I think so.
And I've got the jetty going actually far right into the middle of the creek where it doesn't really, but that's okay because that empty space is a bit boring, so we can make it look interesting. And people aren't going to say, oh look, there's Patonga Creek. They're going to say, oh, okay, it's a landscape, it's got a jetty in it. So we've got some nice sticks coming up. And the good thing is when you've got reflections, there's another reason to put the line in. Another reason, if you look at the reflection, there's reflections. And doing this way is all about really looking into the landscape rather than just drawing and painting what you think you should paint rather than what is actually there. It's all about observation. So that's what that's just a little taste. And what I'm going to do is show you this next. So, do is something that everyone has a lot of problem with, and I don't know why. I mean, it's kindergarten stuff, but it's gluing. Everyone has such a problem with it, okay? So what we're going to do, we've got the Aquadeer, which is, again, Bunnings, favourite place in the whole wide world for any
Tell
artist.
people what the paper was again.
Oh, excuse me, I didn't fart. That was actually... I don't do things like that.
It was the yoga.
It was...
It was glue.
The paper is just, I've had it about 110. It is drawing paper, it is not what I do my large work on. It's not as robust as the really expensive watercolour paper. It is a watercolour, but it's thin, so it's about 110. A beautiful... GSM. So a normal paper, like a proper thicker paper, is about 350, and then you go up to 600 and stuff. But if you want a roll of beautiful thick paper, it's about $350, and that's why I don't have one. I have to sell another painting. So I put in
this one.
Oh yeah, that's a masterpiece. So when you're gluing what we're going to glue, which is tissue paper, I always add a bit of water because otherwise you end up with this gloggy mess. Now, it isn't that complicated, but everyone has a problem with it. So just a little splash of water. We're going to mix it round. Now, you might be interested in this paper. This paper is what I got my Mother's Day flowers in. Not from you, Jade.
From your favourite daughter.
Favourite. You're my favourite daughter.
Carla.
She's my daughter-in-law.
Oh.
So, I've got these beautiful flowers, and I think, well, that's a shame to waste it, because you never know what you can do with it. I'm going to use the one, and that's why, you know, all these famous artists throughout the years have painted on cardboard, they've painted on anything. And that's why you can paint on this. I scrunched it up so it came with the flowers, but I'm just going to give you an idea. So, when you're gluing tissue paper, now all this acid-free rubbish that you hear, it's crap. What you do, you go online, you buy clothes, or you go to Witchery or whatever, and you buy lots of clothes and things, they wrap it in tissue paper, and you use that. That's the only reason I buy all. I'm a massive consumer because of the tissue paper. So, we're going to just use a small bit, not little tiny scraps. I've had people who put toilet paper on with chunks and stuff, and I think, oh my god. And one guy, hilarious, he actually put on All Brand.
Hold on, I just want to take my jumper off.
He actually put All Brand on. No, you do not put All Brand on as texture, because the rats and mice will eat it and it'll deteriorate. Okay, so we're going to use just basic tissue paper today, and so if you come in closer, you can see you need to spread it right to the edges. I know this is hard. Nobody can do it. In fact, sometimes I do cock it up. But if you've got a bit of water in the Aquadeer, PVA, whatever, it does make it easy to spread. Now I know looks like boring children's play, but you're going to be so happy with the result. Does that sound like Nigella Lawson then? It did, didn't it?
Yeah.
I know. So, right to the edges, and then what we'll do, we're just going to very carefully, without getting it all over ourselves.
Say hi to Gail Cullingworth. Dell, she's coming to visit you soon.
Oh, good. From Perth. Hi, Gail. She's got lovely work up in the gallery up at Edelong at the moment. So with the tissue paper, you just make sure it's totally stuck down all over. You do not want bubbles. You do not want bits hanging off. You just want it totally flat. So with the brush, get all the bubbles out, get the air bubbles out. Okay. Try not to tear it, that's why a bit of water in the Aquadeer is good.
Is this for that big thing, or are you just doing that?
I'm doing an example, and that can be used for that, right? So what I'm doing, because I can't create a masterpiece in 45 minutes, it actually takes hours and hours and hours and hours. I'm giving techniques, and then people have been sending me images of what they've been doing during the week, so which is great. So this is another technique, and then we can use it, and I've got a piece there to show you how it works. So that is how you do the tissue paper. Black tissue paper is really interesting because sometimes it has a really nice aubergine colour when it's had the PVA glued to it. and it's a lucky dip. Again, because we use different materials on it and sealers and things, it's not going to fade. This is only a layer. This is only a means to an end. We do not want people looking at your work and saying, oh, she stuck tissue paper on it, right? The idea is to have it so it's interesting, and people go up to your work and they say, oh, I wonder how she did that, right? Because that's what it is, engaging the person. Even if they engage and they, on some level, getting them to stop and say, oh, that looks interesting. Oh, I wouldn't buy it. It's not my cup of tea. But, oh, well, it looks interesting. I wonder how she did it. You've engaged the person. Okay, now you may have noticed that there's little tiny creases and cracks, and that's what we want. We don't want great big cracks and pieces. Now, I'm just going to make that a little bit cracky there, because when I show you on the other piece of paper, which I have prepared, you will understand how that works. Now, that paper doesn't like the glue, so that's good to know. Lucky it's not a masterpiece. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to get this one that I prepared earlier.
So you're not doing anything else to the
Yeah,
big...
I will do that. I'm going to get some dirty water and chuck it on.
Okay, 'cause that was fun.
Okay, this is what we did the very first time down at the creek. What we did is dirty water, candle, and white paint that was on with a spatula. So what I've done today, and see the water wash, and if you can have a look close up, see how we talk about the different layers, so in which case the paper creates a layer, and then the paint sits on top of the paper, and then that means that the wash doesn't go through and sits on top of the paint. So already you've got something interesting happening here with dribbles and things.
It's a bit hard to see with the light on there.
Can you get it? So with the tissue paper I did earlier, here's the white tissue paper, and see how you can see right through it, and then there's the black tissue paper. So what I'm going to do, which is the best way for you to see it, Jade?
Just
like
do it the way you want to do it. I can walk
with
around.
what's so yummy about the white tissue paper mainly, a bit of my fave, is that you can get different effects. So just by with your charcoal, just your willow charcoal, just by rubbing it, can you see that? It's going in all the cracks, darks and lights. Now if you were to put that just in paint, you couldn't do it. Well, it just doesn't look as, why would you do it when you can do it with tissue paper?
What's the charcoal?
The wish?
The charcoal, what is that?
It's just the willow that we were doing before. And you know how we drew on the side of the willow charcoal? Again, see, look at all these. And the thing about this is that it's totally random. You can't plan where the creases and cracks go.
Looks like skin.
Yeah. And so that's the sort of thing that people go, oh gosh, I wonder how they did that. And as we evolve with more and more techniques, you use this as the next one, and then you put shellac and bitumen and things like that. So also what I've also put on this is also a piece of cartridge paper that I keep as my collage pieces, and that's just stick and ink and dry brush, which we've done before. I just tore that off and put that on. And this is the brown paper. You just get the brown paper wrapping or whatever, and that's just starting a landscape. Okay, so we've done the tissue paper, all right, and you can spray it, keep it, whatever, fixative or hairspray. Fix is just a fancy name for hairspray that they make you buy more things. Now, the thing about the black, look, I failed. There's bubbles in there. The thing about the black is when you've got a, g'day Clive, when you've got, what's that? You're live on Facebook around the world.
Wave.
There you go. Okay, back to me. Clive's had enough.
What's WGO?
What's going on?
Oh, well, there you are. Stay out of shot, darling. We're live on live. So
You can have a look.
you can have a look.
Reversing.
There we are. So what with the white, creating this effect with the charcoal is really lovely, but you don't want to make it all muddy with the black. And what's happening with the black and this this plain solid means that if something's too busy, you know, you've gone crazy, I love that medium, I'm going to put it everywhere, and then it looks like someone's thrown up on it. This is where you can put on a nice piece of paper or charcoal, collage plain, and then just put a line through it like I did in one of my demos.
Take away.
So with the black, what I like is the fact that you can just put a couple of lines through it. We can put some stick and ink, which I have no sticks. Bugger, hang on. Some artistic stick. This is an artistic stick. Okay. And again, we can start just layering. Don't think too much, because what we're going to do is going to put shellac and yummy things on here. Okay? David, I can hear you. Alright, and then we can always put a bit of a wash over it too. Don't forget, we can put a bit of wash. If I had a brush. Okay, so now look at that. David, I can still hear you. Okay, so now that's again on the white tissue, and see how it's a different shade. You don't want it everywhere dark. The ink does dry lighter, remember. And I'm just going to bring that in there. And see how it's resisting and doing all yummy things. I'm just going to stop that hard line there. Do that. There's no such thing as a mistake. I've had some fantastic responses from people who are really pushing through that they haven't normally done, they don't normally do, they would have given up. And that's the whole idea. Keep pushing through and seeing how you go. There's never anything wrong. The more mistakes you make, the better, because otherwise it looks too contrived. Okay, so we've just got that light there. And we can always put some more ink on that while it's wet. And see how the different effects here, that's with the paint. It's probably hard to tell. Look at that. Okay, beautiful. And then if you do a mistake, you think, what could that be? The painting does start talking to you. And the painting starts saying, okay, I want to be roots of a tree, and I want to be this, and I'll be that. And then when that happens, you really made it. But until then, just put the marks on. Line, mark, drawing from the environment, which I'm not doing because I'm demonstrating. But normally I either draw from the environment or draw from the drawings I've taken from my on plein air. Okay, so that look interesting? Yeah, and that's so simple. That's just the tissue paper, and as this dries, it'll dry darker and lighter, and then you can put in again over the top. We can put some more trees, we can put white paint, any of that sort of thing, and it will build up and up. And so in which case it will become complicated. How did she do that? That looks really interesting. Okay, but you have to wait for that to dry now. So while I'm going to do that, I've got some muddy water. Well, it's not really that muddy, I'm going to make it muddy. Have I lost your interest already, Clive? Have I lost your interest already?
If I'm not the star, I'm not interested.
Yeah, well, that'd be right. I can create a paintbrush for you. Just don't encourage me. Alright, so what we're going to do is normally we can do some washes on here, and don't forget we'll do the crayon. And so what I've is the different size brushes. You can use all these Bunnings. That's probably not Bunnings, but you can get them from Bunnings. You can get plastic ones, you can get anything. Okay, so what I'm going to do is
Get some water from the creek.
I can get water from the creek, but I've got water in here because I'm so organised. Okay, so what I might do is put some lights in here.
So your candle.
It's not a candle, and the good thing about the candle, so I'm doing a reflection. So just imagine this is the reflection. Oh shit! I put a hole in it. Now that's good. That's okay because you can put collage over the top. No one knows. You can always patch it. That's why with mixed media, if you do a mistake and you think, oh bugger, I've just put a hole in it, or just patch it with some collage. So I'm a bit rough because it's on the grass. So now, looking around here, we've got a lot of oyster leases and things like that. I don't know where they are. Anyway, they're out there. And so at low tide, they're little dots, little dashes and things. And that gives a really nice effect too. Just a reason to put the marks on. They're over there. Somewhere like there. Sorry?
They're right behind you.
Yeah, well, I can't see them. So David, can you get me about 6 sticks? Little sticks? So, because that was a good idea what Jade said. So we put some light things on here.
Little sticks.
Little sticks.
That's big.
Little. Like
Twigs.
like twigs.
Little twigs.
So,
This size. Yeah.
yep, perfect. So what I'm going to do is just to give you an idea. So I don't want to put water everywhere on this because it ends up, can't do anything.
Off there, mate.
Thanks, Dave. Now I haven't set the, don't expect a miracle here because one, it's in the environment, and two, not a lot of time to create magic. So, don't know where all those, see I haven't pushed hard enough with the candle, so it's really not working. So what I'm going to do, I'll put the candle there because it went right through. Oh there it is, resisting. Now the thing is, don't be precious. If you're precious, it's boring. So just, you block in with the charcoal, just go crazy, because this is only the underground. You know when you're painting a picture and you're thinking, oh, this is just the background, and you just do this amazing line work, it's rough and loose and free, and as soon as it's your painting, you think, oh, now I better tighten up, because your little tongue comes out, and you think, oh God, you know, this is really precious. This paper has cost me a whole $3.50. No, it's cost you $3.50, which is not even a bloody coffee these days. So the idea is just to keep loose, like you are doing a background. Can you get me the scissors, David? Because I'm going to tip this up, and I can't tip it up with all that shit on it. So what with this, I'm just going to get, they're not perfect sticks, but they'll do. Thank you. Do you want to cut it? I'm busy being fabulous.
Okay.
Just cut on that. So what's good, and this again, I think this is Sophie Cape told me this. You actually, by putting all your little sticks together, and if you want to do like some artists, they make the most beautiful drawing. They do the most beautiful drawings with drawing utensils and painting utensils. So what they do is they get twine and they found objects, and they actually use these to make, it's an installation in itself. So I'm just going to get the ink, of which Thanks, Dave. And I'm going to just, don't know how to do it now. Say with this particular tree, I'm going to, I haven't got to, this is where you adapt as an artist. Right? So this has got 5 or 6 sticks. I'll be here till midnight waiting for this crap to dry before I can take it home. Anyway, so rather than one stick, and I need a branch now, David. David.
Yeah.
No,
One of them.
one with leaves.
Yeah, one of them.
Yeah, one of those would be good. Yeah. Okay.
Perfect.
And then what I'm going to do is just put a bit there. Use that as a... Well, it's not totally perfect. Great. There we are. Alright. We getting excited yet?
It's good.
Is that alright? Does it look alright? Look at that. Now, if I said draw leaves, you'd be there with your tongue hanging out. Look, it's even pictures of leaves because... That's perfect, David. Alright.
Good job, assistant.
He is, might get a job. Usually behind the computer. Okay. Genius. Alright, so I'll just get rid of that.
That was a tree I had prepared earlier.
That's funny, Dave. Now, this is why I don't wear my good shoes. Jade said Jade said I'd look crap in all the videos, so she said you need to smarten yourself up. The reason you look crap on videos and not doing art is because you get things wrecked.
Just go bare feet.
I will. Okay, so I'm going to just... I have no idea. Okay, I'm going to show the... Hi. Hello. One of the secret things for how to do a straight line, because they're boring straight lines, is the credit card. How long have we been going, Jade? So half an hour?
I don't know.
Yep.
So what I'm going to do, because we can't do everything in minutes, I'm going to show you how to do some straight lines, interesting lines, drawing with a credit card. I'm using Rebel because, as you can tell from my physique, it's not often used. Thank you, Bones. It's not often used, so I'm going to trust that it won't happen. I won't be using it. Credit card. Jetty. The good thing is it moves. It's got a really nice feel. I'm going to have to turn around and actually help with what I'm looking at. It does help if you look at what you're trying to do. Okay, so that you could do with the spatula, but what you can't do is, but the credit card, I like the fact it moves, and also the side of it gives a really nice line. See that?
Sounds like someone's doing a wee.
No, it's a village card.
It's not me. See that? Now, if you'd done that with a paintbrush, it would look contrived, boring, too perfect. Right? So what we've got is credit cards. Credit card. Thank you, Bones.
Texture.
Look at that. Beautiful. And you can come back in, you can create with your white paint. You can put... This is all about the layer, okay? So I'm going to put in, we can put in the oyster leases. Now, you're not going to have a whole lot of things the same, but this is a layer. And then you can cut back with white paint. You can choose what you're going to get rid of. Choose and keep, choose and keep. So the more things you've got on here, but don't say, I love it, and do it everywhere. That's where people go, make the mistake. All right? You do use the different materials, different utensils, different drawing mediums. All right? So that's the jetty. Anything more than that is like a poster card, you know, like a chocolate box. I hate things. So I can if I had prepared the paper earlier with either PVA glue or white gesso, I could actually scratch back to there and be very white, but as it is, it's not going to come back much. Okay, so that's where you can have a bit of forward planning by preparing the paper first with a layer and then scratching back to it. This here is a bit nice, that's all right. Now also this is really nice for boats. So Jade wants a boat. Which boat would you like? That one?
Yeah.
I'm not very good at them.
And a duck.
I'm not doing a bloody duck. It's like birds. Let's put a bird in. Now see, because I haven't fixed this, it's all made a mess, but that's okay. Because just as an example. So again, if I was to use, once I use a paintbrush, I tighten up, it looks awful, contrived. Once I use a credit card or a stick, a lot more interesting. Spatula's fantastic, but the credit card just seems to work. Now, again, you look at where the boat is, not where I think it is, where I would have put it down here. It's actually right up here, okay? And with the side of the credit card, just draw with the side of the credit card. And I've already done a mistake. I don't know how that works, like that. So as you put these in, don't have to use a lot of detail to actually get it so that it looks like what it is.
Mari thinks it looks fab.
Who does?
Mari.
Mari, she's lovely. She always says nice things. This is why the side of the credit card is fantastic for when you're doing masts of boats and things, because once you get your little fine ruler out and your paintbrush, it looks awful. It's sitting on top. This way, mast of a boat, bang, 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 and it's done.
What have you put on the credit card? Jane Jackson's asking.
Oh, sorry, it's Payne's Grey. When you do black actually ends up a dark hole, so you should create your own black. I've got black ink, but this is actually Payne's Grey. And I'm going to do over the next few weeks guaranteed happiness colours, and this is one of them. But I don't want to tell you them all because you won't watch again. So this is a bad boat, but the good thing about it is that it's just the basis, and I can draw into it later when it's dry with my white charcoal, white line, paint over the top, whatever. Okay, so what's nice also is in the background, I'm just going to put in some lines. See, this is hardly finished, but by just putting these in.
What are they?
They're the sticks over there.
Oh, yeah.
So as you're looking around, you say, oh, what looks interesting? Okay, those sticks, I'll put them in. Later on you might not even know what they were. They're not relevant. But at the time, they were just a reason to put the line on the paper. And really look at the height and where they come from. Don't try too hard. Okay? So there's another tree there, which I can do some more branches with other branches. There's the reflection happening. Now the reflection is gone. Oh no, there it is. It's actually gone. But anyway. The reflection is another reason to put the shadows, lights and darks. Even there's the steps that are going down. And again, another reason. Painting with the credit card. Okay? I love steps. That sort of thing. Reason to put the line then on the boat, you know, like if you really look at the landscape, there's all these wonderful shapes. Now if I'm sitting here, I don't know if you can tell there, but there's crabs, there's all the little water holes, can you see that? The fact that it's out, the tide's out, gives all these fantastic shapes and darks and lights that I would build up into here as a reason to do it. Okay, so on this section here, I would create all the shadow, darks and lights of these shapes.
How?
How?
Charcoal.
I would probably, you could could put some tissue paper if you wanted to. All right? Not charcoal. Once you start drawing, it's hard. So in which case you can either use your collages or you can use your white paint and then wait for it to dry and then do washes over it. So just create that section so it's different to the water. And then the water is different again. So which case, and there's little things coming out. And if you sit here long enough, the tide will come in and all of a sudden you'll get reflections that weren't there before. And another reason, it doesn't have to make sense that the light coming from here and it's just a reason to put the mark on the paper. All right? So I would put, we can do this again if the weather's nice next week. And but while it's wet, it doesn't hurt. Now we've got texture. A lot of people pay a lot of money for sand texture. You can get it from the art shop. Basically what it is, PVA glue with sand in it. We can get sand for nothing. And all we're doing, I'm just going to put because once you wreck it, it's much more interesting. You don't want it to be dry already. It's hot. Okay, so again, that can be, there's more sand. Goes on it and it gets this really lovely effect. I love that. There's a particular artist, one of my students, been doing it for years, very thick paper. She actually paints and then she puts it under the tap. And the better paper you've got, the more abuse it can take. This can't take too much because we've already got a hole in it. Okay, so I'm going to do this paint. Going to do this paint. Now, what is it? Out of the jar is not allowed. You have to mix it. But because this is only the underpainting, oh, the dog's doing it. Great. So because we're doing an underpainting, and it's going to have all the different layers on top, but normally when you mix it, when you're painting, you have to mix your colours. Otherwise, it just. Now this is a lichen grey, which I really love, but it actually dries, because it's an undercoat, it's coloured gesso, it actually dries very flat, but it's a good base. So this is now, you know how you said what would you do? This is the
sand.
The flats, yeah, with the holes and everything in it. And the boat's up on the flat. Now what you can do, see how just by putting that over the top, we've got a layer, we've got all these interesting layers. And if I was to keep the these holes here, I've already got that effect of what's out there without having to do anything. Bit of dry brush. See, and that's why you don't go to too much trouble with the charcoal, because I've just painted by those. It's just to give you a guide. So there we are. We've got the sand. And with very little effort, but it is only a layer. Again, this is from Bunnings, so you don't need to spend a lot of money on these, especially as Vanessa ends up never washing them, in which case they get thrown out. Which is not good for the environment, I know. I'm going to put that over here. It does run over there. Okay. Absolutely coated in paint. I'm not going to wear nice clothes again, Jake. So, also before that dries, you can always come in and get some shapes. Do the little mangrovey things and put them in. And that's why I wouldn't necessarily put them in if I wasn't sitting here looking at the environment, looking at around at what I'm doing. You can draw some shapes in if you want to. You can get your credit card. But again, if I was to draw the shapes without looking at them, I'd probably do them all the same size, but they're so varied. Can you see that, Jade? So when this dries, I can come in with charcoal and it will catch on these edges and make it really interesting. You don't do it everywhere. So see, I've got this little bit here, here. Got, can you tell?
Yeah, just.
We'll take some photos of it properly and then put it online. Then you can see it better. So there we are, I've done the sand. Very little effort, but again, as I say, it takes me hours and hours and hours to do a painting. This is a background that I think about, okay, how am I going to make it more interesting? What am I going to do? I add this, I add that. So this is totally just the background and to give you some idea about the techniques. Any questions?
Ask them if you've got any questions.
Has anyone got any questions?
Not so far.
I've got a lovely man from Florida who used to come to the Patonga Creek when he was in the 40s and 50s, and he was saying that he really remembers Patonga well, and here he is now in Florida watching Patonga Creek. Now there's some fundamental things that when you I was thinking this last night, fundamental things when your painting's not working, right? One, something like the jetty should never be in the middle. It should never be in the centre.
It's kind of centred.
It's a bit centred. So to fix that, you can always either crop it or move it, or so that's why when sometimes you can't work out why a painting's not working, and it's because it has fundamentally the wrong bit. The shapes are all the same size, the rocks are all the same size, the lines are all too uniform, all the trees are the same width. You have to vary your mark, you have to vary the tools you use, and you vary the materials. Okay? All of that will make an interesting painting. And then when it looks like someone's thrown up on it, come in, put a mask over it with brown paper, black paper, and then just draw a line, and that will simplify it. Okay, so we done?
Yeah.
I think that's enough. Everyone exhausted?
Yep.
I'm really liking the fact that people are thinking of doing groups and getting together with a glass of wine and painting together. That's fantastic, and some really lovely images coming out of everyone working hard. And it's just fun. There's no such thing as a mistake. Just have fun. Okay? Thanks, Jade. Thank you, ball boys. Thank you, David.